Welcome back to Justice. A lot to talk about with my next guest, former acting director of national intelligence, Rick Grenell, who's been a dedicated defender of the president in these crazy times. He joins me now. All right, good evening, Rick. It's good to have you on. Look, you are a man who takes no prisoners. You've been very clear on whatever mission that you've been on, and you pretty much deliver every time. You know, whether this administration is over or whether President Trump has a second administration, don't you think it's time that we completely declassify all of that information that was classified in the run-up to the 2016 election so the American people can finally know, whether, irrespective of whether anyone's prosecuting anyone, what went on in the run-up by the Biden and Obama administration?
Thanks for having me, Judge. Look, I would say not only is it important that we have that transparency for how this Russian collusion and investigations happened throughout the Trump administration, but I think that we have fundamentally done something different for Washington in that the people want to see transparency. This is a foreign concept to many people in Washington, D.C. The politicians, the bureaucrats, even the reporters are not really accustomed to having people just share the information when they have the power to share the information. And I actually believe that what's happened over the last year with declassification and transparency is something that you're not going to be able to put back into the bottle. People are going to demand this going forward, no matter who is president. So I would say that every single time that we have politicians trying to spoon feed information to the American public saying, well, I can't tell you about all this information, but you've got to trust me. That trust has really eroded, and people are now going to demand to see the evidence.
Well, all right, so here I am, demanding to see the evidence. Let's see it. It's 2020. There may or may not be a new president in 2021. Why not? Why isn't everything declassified now? Can you answer that question?
Well, look, when I was there, I demanded that we declassify anything that wasn't a source or a method. And we have a problem in the intelligence community where they overclassify. They pretend that it is a method that somehow they're going to use in the future. But the reality is that they are overclassifying information to protect from a PR standpoint.
Who can override their overclassification?
Well, the director of national intelligence and the president can absolutely do that.
So
we started that process, and that's my point. I think that the people are going to demand it now because they saw the information come forward, and it was nothing like what the politicians were saying. And so this is going to impact decisions in the future. We need to demand that the director of national intelligence, for all of the future DNIs and future presidents of whatever party are going to be about transparency. Transparency is not political.
Okay. Look, let's kind of transition from unmasking to a real unmasking in California with Mr. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, who for whatever reason thinks that he is above the law or that the law doesn't apply to him. And, we've got hundreds of thousands of people in California, millions, I suspect, who are being told you can't travel, you can't have more than 10 people at your house for Thanksgiving, and yet he's violating them. The Democrats are violating him. Nancy Pelosi in California, maskless in a salon that isn't supposed to be open, and yet salon workers end up being arrested who try to go to work with a mask on. What is going on with the Democrats?
Look, we have a real problem in California with politicians who do one thing and say another. This is not anything new, although it's just come to light to the rest of the country. Gavin Newsom, he's the biggest phony ever. I think all you have to do is replay his statements on why he went to the French Laundry restaurant, this very expensive restaurant, and he lied to us and said that he was outdoors when now we see the picture that he was indoors. This is the typical thing of Sacramento, though. Politicians get away with this like they do in Washington, D.C. We don't have a media that holds them to account because California is a one-party state.
Yeah.
So people are getting really angry. There is this recall effort, Judge. I hope that people will go, if you live in California, and sign the petition to recall Gavin Newsom.
Okay.
He's out of control. He's a total phony, and all you have to do is watch his excuses, and everybody cringes when they see him talk and try to spin his way out. He is the typical politician.
Rick Grinnell, it's always great to have you on Justice. Thanks so much for being with us. And up next, how far will they go? Are the Dems really urging people to move to Georgia to vote in the state runoffs? Molly Hemingway breaks it all down next.